What's up, everybody? Matt Gajewski here, back again with the Odd Shopper channel. And today we're going through some college football prop bets on No House Advantage. Before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all other content goes live. And of course, we're brought to you by No House Advantage. We'll be talking about them a lot through the video, but a couple things I want to highlight first and foremost. They have a first match deposit bonus of up to $100 when you click the link in the video description below, and it's player props. Your standard player props, they have a couple ways to do this. You can play versus the house. That's what we're going to be talking about today, where you're making lineups of player props going up against the over-unders they have listed, where you can up to 21x your entry fee, and we'll talk about that throughout. But they also have pick'em contests. These are large tournaments with up to $25,000 in prize. And a lot of these tournaments aren't filling. It's you versus other people. And if the pool has $25,000 in prizes, they're paying out that much whether the tournament fills or not. Overlay can be a huge way to boost your bankroll. So make sure to take advantage of that and take advantage again of that first match deposit bonus up to $100 on No House Advantage. But we're going to be talking about their versus the house tool today. And I'll bring you kind of to their back end. It's college football. And if you're looking at the bottom of the screen, you'll be able to see you can use up to 5 in your lineups, where you can up to 21 extra entry fee. We're actually going to give you 6 today. In the giving spirit with the holidays, so I'm going to give you that extra pick here. And we'll kick things off with a bit of an uncertain situation in Oklahoma. We have Jovantae Barnes. He's listed at 82.5 rushing yards. We're going to kick this off with an over on him. Now, you need to make at least 2 of these. We're actually going to go through the full 5 in a way where you can 21 extra entry fee. But if you do 2, you can 2.5x. You can go anywhere from 2 to 5. As far as Barnes goes, the biggest thing here is Oklahoma is dealing with the opt-out of Eric Gray, their lead back, who vacates just a massive amount of opportunity in this offense. And they also don't have Marcus Major. He was seen in a boot earlier this week, hasn't played in the last 3 games for this team. Right now, Eric Gray vacates 250 touches. Marcus Major vacates 65. That leaves freshman Jovantae Barnes, who carried the ball 89 times already this year. There were a couple games where he did handle a pretty sizable workload due to injuries around him. And the only other players in this offense that might see touches are Tawi Walker. He has 2 carries in the last 4 weeks. He's a JUCO transfer. You also have Gavin Sawchuk, another 4-star running back, freshman. He only has 2 carries on the year. So right away, this kind of sets up for Jovantae Barnes over 82.5 yards. There's a bit of projection that goes into this. So not a slam dunk by any means, but if we're assuming Barnes gets all the work here, this could be one we look to the over on. And there's a situation very similar to this with Texas and Jonathan Brooks. And this one, I think, is even a little bit better than Jovantae Barnes. If I were just playing one of these 2 running backs taking on a larger role, it would be Brooks between them. But I think they're both pretty good values. For Brooks, it's similar. You have no Bijan Robinson. You have no Roschon Johnson. The pair of them vacate over 2,000 combined yards. And this is over 300 touches combined. Once you get behind Roschon Johnson and Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Brooks and Keelan Robinson are the next 2 guys up. Well, Keelan Robinson's only 183 pounds. He's played a lot this year, but almost specifically to be a pass-catching third down back. Brooks is actually the bigger back in the offense. And when you look at this Texas team, they're still fairly intact. And the reason I prefer Brooks over Barnes is you do have opt-outs on Texas, but the offensive line's fairly intact. That was a good unit for this team. You have a Washington defense on the other side, which has struggled at times. They're also going up against, I think, a step up in competition here compared to what they saw in the Pac-12. Both these teams are fast. Texas is 35th in pace. Washington's 47th. The total in the game is still 66.5. So we have a massive total here too, and a chance for Brooks to overcome this. And furthermore, Texas has tried to take the ball out of Quinn Ewers' hands recently with his struggles down the stretch. The pass rate of 45% on the years actually plummeted to around 40% in recent weeks when Texas has been able to play with a lead. And of course, they're 3-point favorites here. So between the two, this Jonathan Brooks over is going to be my favorite. but I still think Javonte Barnes is still worthwhile here as well. Once we get a little bit further, we can't ignore our unders. So we're going to scroll up here and potentially take an under. Let's see if I can find it. There it is, an under on Trey Benson for Florida State. Now, a little bit of nuance goes into this one. We talked about the other side of the game with Javonte Barnes. From a game script perspective, Florida State is a 10-point favorite here. The total is still 65. Those two things work against Barnes, but they definitely work in favor of Benson. Benson is averaging 81 rushing yards per game, but he's taken on a larger role down the stretch. He has carry counts of 14, 18, 16, and 20 in Florida State's last 4 games. With that said, a lot of this opportunity coincides with an injury to Treshaun Ward. Now, Ward is back. He's played in the last 3 games, but he doesn't have more than 5 carries in any of those games. Prior to the injury absence, Ward and Benson had formed a near 50-50 committee. Now with Ward getting another month to get healthy, I think he probably sees a slight uptick in usage. Now, I don't think Benson is going to be in the 50-50 timeshare or anything like that again because of the efficiency he displayed. But I do think there's a bit of inherent risk in this backfield with Ward coming back from injury. Lawrence Toafili is going to handle a couple carries here and there. He's more of a pass-catching back, but he has 93 carries in the year. It's not like Benson has this lockdown entirely to himself. So there's a bit of risk here. 101.5 rushing yards is massive. Couple paths to failure, you could have more of a timeshare than expected. An injury, maybe game script doesn't play according to the spread at -10. So plenty of paths to failure here with Benson. We're going to go under 101.5 yards. Then we're going to return to this Oklahoma offense. A player we are going to hit the over on is Marvin Mims, 66.5. We actually have him projected above 72 receiving yards in this game, which is fairly close to his season average. Marvin Mims actually averaged 84 yards per game. He has a 23% target share, went over 1,000 yards, and he's very clearly the wide receiver 1 in this offense. More importantly, Dylan Gabriel is going to play in this game. Dylan Gabriel's the premier starter for this offense, and some of Marvin Mims' struggles coincided with Davis DeVille playing part of the year. We saw Gabriel go down with an injury against TCU, and there's a drastic drop-off to the backup here. With Mims, you also have the fact that Theo Weiss transferred out of the program. He had 33 targets, about a 50% route rate on the year. That only consolidates opportunity for Mims here. Florida State plays solid defense overall, but the spread indicates that Oklahoma should be trailing in the game in a pass-heavy game script, and Oklahoma does rank second in the country in pace. This Jeff Lebby offense plays at the speed of light, giving Mims plenty of opportunity to reach 66.5 over that total in receiving yards. And last two, I'm kind of split on which one I want to do for my 5th one. There's 2 I think that are pretty close, so I'll let you break the tie here. Jordan Travis passing yards, over 258.5. We have this as a slight value. You look at Oklahoma State's defense, they just have struggled to defend players everywhere. And the secondary is weakened due to opt-outs. It's been bad most of the year. From a mathematical standpoint, with Florida State implied for 37.5 points as a 10-point favorite in a game with a 65 total, just mathematically, Jordan Travis is projecting for a little more passing yards than this 258 overall. But again, the value is slight here. So if you'd like to pivot and go to our last prop we'll mention, Oronde Gadsden. Sorry, I got to scroll to find these sometimes. Oronde Gadsden under 73.5. Oh, I got to pull out Travis first. Excuse me there. We'll get rid of Travis, and now we'll put in Gadsden. Under 73.5. This is one I think you could use instead if you feel more confident here. He's called a tight end on No House Advantage, but he's kind of a receiving tight end hybrid. He plays a ton out wide in the slot. And Gadsden's been solid for this team all year. No issues with him as a player. He actually is clearly the target leader. He has a 27% target share. He averages 74 yards per game. But this game environment is probably the worst we've seen for Syracuse all season long. The implied team total for the Orange is 17 points. They're 10.5-point underdogs in a game with a 44.5 total. This is by far the lowest implied team total on the slate. Making matters worse, both these teams are slow. Syracuse is 73rd in pace. That's just outside the league average. Minnesota is 130th. They're the second slowest team in the entire country. They are going to halt this pace all the way to a slow-paced slugfest in the run game with Mo Ibrahim on the other side. Finally, you have Syracuse losing their offensive coordinator Robert Anae. He leaves the program, leaving Syracuse without the play caller here. How does that affect the volume and the efficiency for Oronde Gadsden? We have him projected for around 62 yards, so there is a little bit more value here towards the under than Jordan Travis, but just want to give you guys some options. And again, if you go all 5, you have a chance to 21 extra entry fee. If you want to do 4, that's 11x. 3 would be 5, and then just a pair of these props would be 2.5. But that is where we are leaning. Thank you to No House Advantage, of course, for sponsoring the video. Love this platform. Make sure to check them out. And before we head out of here, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel. Tons of good stuff going on over here at Odd Shopper. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about these props. I would love to hear it. Otherwise, we'll be back again soon, breaking down all things college football. So stick around. Check out the future videos. Until then, good luck, everyone.